on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. Hope everybody can hear me. Everybody can see me. If you're there on our beautiful YouTube feed, it's right there at JT the Brick YT. I even sent out a pre-show tweet with me driving in listening to Rush, which is coming down Flamingo off the mean streets of Summerlin. And Rush came on Free Will. And I said, you know something? I'm the only sports talk host ever who saw Rush 54 times. And that was a message from Geddy Lee to have a great day today. So I'm going to have a great day today. Good afternoon to everybody. Appreciate being here. Happy MLB All-Star Game. I love me the MLB All-Star Game. And that's the focus of the monologue, brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue. 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. If you're in Vegas, Southern Nevada, you should be going to PTs tonight to watch the All-Star Game. I mean, this is what we do. And let me tell you, as a young boy growing up in North Massapequa, Long Island, my dad was a baseball coach, an iconic baseball coach in town. He coached everybody in town. Everybody who played baseball, Little League, played for my dad at some point. And my dad loved baseball, and I love baseball. You know, I'm a Yankee fan. And I couldn't wait for the summer for the All-Star Game. The pool was open. The friends came over. There was ice cream. My mom was excited. There were multiple friends at the house, and we would watch the Midsummer Classic. And I would root for the American League. And I repeat, I root for the American League. I do not root for those scoundrels from the National League. I'm an American League guy. I love the DH. I love the American League. And I root for the American League. And you might be a National League fan. And growing up, I cannot tell you how many memories I've had of just watching it, because we waited around all year growing up as a kid for the summer because the weather sucked all year long. They didn't tell us that when we were kids. No one ever told us until we were older that the weather was going to be bad. And in the summer, man, we were allowed to stay out late, catch fireflies, leave the front door open. Oh, yeah. And go up and down the block and have fun and play catch with our dads and friends. And we watched the All-Star Game. And it will never deter me. I'll never be that guy, oh, the All-Star Game. Oh, look at the All-Star Game, the All-Star Game. No, I love the All-Star Game. So if you got an All-Star Game story, let me know. You know, if you got a memory of an All-Star Game anywhere in Seattle, Oakland. Speaking of Seattle, Cal Raleigh won the home run derby last night. First catcher to do it, 39 years. First natural switch hitter to do it. I was on the air last night on Sirius XM when he won it. He wouldn't have advanced out of the first round by an inch. An inch separated him from moving on, and he ended up winning the thing. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's an important night tonight. For people who say, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, my God, is it going to be any fun? It's going to be great. Just watch the All-Star Game. I'll talk to Danny about it later. He's in for Bobby. I'm not into Miz making the team with just 5 starts. He should not be in the All-Star Game. He's only got 5 starts out of Milwaukee. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that at all. I don't believe in guys making the All-Star team that only had 5 starts. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, you got to have more than 5 bleeping starts to be an All-Star. That's it. I don't care how good you are. I don't care that you're 6'7". I don't care that you throw 100 miles an hour. Too bad. You got to earn it. And some people say, and I'm okay with that, it is an exhibition game. Ask Pete Rose if it was an exhibition. Ask some of the guys who played 9 innings. Joe DiMaggio would play 9 innings in an All-Star game. Mickey Mantle, 7. Reggie Jackson. They cared. They really do. And I'll tell you, a big topic that I hit on last night, if you want to jump in during the monologue, is the importance of us holding on to sports, holding on to the traditions in our life, because we're losing them at an alarming rate. We are losing the traditions in sports. The NHL All-Star Game's done. It's a skills competition. They come out to the Bellagio and they shoot pucks into the water. It's an exhibition. It's a joke. The skills contest. What are they doing now at the NHL All-Star Game? Are they playing 3-on-3 or 5-on-5? Like, you don't even know. It's a scam. The Pro Bowl. Here's a good trivia question. You can take it from me. Who was the last player to ever play hard in a Pro Bowl? Anybody want to guess? Max Crosby. He's the last player to ever try to tackle someone in an all-star game, which was the Pro Bowl. I was there in the lower bowl with a friend of mine, and Max Crosby didn't get the memo that it was flag football, it was touch football. And Max started tackling everybody, and everyone's like, hold on, Max. Max was the last guy to play balls out in an NFL Pro Bowl. And we go to basketball. Oh, gross. Oh, pathetic what they do in that game. They just run a layup line. No one plays defense. Oh, but now in the Steph Curry era, everybody shoots threes from half court and misses and giggles and laughs as the ball goes out of bounds. They destroyed that, and they destroyed all of these all-star games in your lifetime. I don't know how old you are. You could be 19 listening to me or 35. They destroyed the all-star games. We have the last one left that counts, where you can face a closer in the third inning. Right? You can be in a game going up against the best player in baseball, mano-a-mano. That ain't a walk in the park. So the All-Star game will be fun tonight. They're using umpire assisting robotics tonight. That'll be interesting. Now, I'm not a guy that likes to change a lot. Speeding up the game wasn't bad. I was at a game a week ago, less than a week ago. I was in Yankee Stadium. They had the pitch clock. I was talking to my godson about it. We found the pitch clock in the outfield, and it made the game go faster. It definitely did. Tennis now, you don't have to worry about a 63-year-old English woman trying to figure out if a serve is in, who just had cataract surgery, because you have technology that'll tell you if the serve's on the line or if it's out. So tonight will be interesting. The home run derby last night was good. The only thing that sucked about the home run derby last night is the angles that they had. They showed the Josh Hamilton. Remember that in Yankee Stadium? They had one camera behind them, one in front of them. They were getting the majestic home runs. The split screen that they had last night was hard to pick up the baseball, the split screen. I didn't like that. I think whoever came up with that really ruined it. And overall, I think a lot of fans are having fun in Atlanta. The ballpark, the newer ballpark looks really nice. So if you have anything you want to add, we're a talk show. Danny, I have to remind everybody we're a talk show. Some shows don't take any calls anymore because they're too cool to take calls. Shows like me would like to take calls, but people take vacation, it seems. And we're not a podcast until the show's over. Then it becomes a podcast. So wake up. I'm here. When I'm off, do whatever the hell you want. When I'm here, I want your energy. And I want it hard. And I want it fast. And I want it to be good. Who's my leadoff hitter? Who's batting fourth? Oh, and the biggest announcement tomorrow is my 2-hour tribute show to Steve Mortara, Raider Mort. We have some special guests confirmed. And we'll have a tribute to one of my best friends who passed away, Raider Mort, an icon in Raider Nation. Even the Raiders put out a release on Mort and the impact that he had. One of the greatest Raider fans to ever live. You're all great fans. You're all great fans in Raider Nation. Raider Mort was super, super special, and we're going to miss him. I'm going to miss him in a big way. So that's coming. That'll be tomorrow. The whole show is Raider Mort, 2 hours of it. I'm expecting everybody who ever met Mort, knew Mort, cared about him to call in or get into our chat. We're going to have some photos in the chat. So good reason to run to YouTube and just subscribe for free and get on that, and we'll get rolling here. Today's featured NFL Raider legend, you don't have to be a pure legend, this guy is, as we look back at the most impactful Raider draft picks of all time, is Pete Banazak. Pete Banazak, one of the greatest Raider running backs of all time. If you got a Pete story, line it up, get it going here in the first or second hour of the show. I got a couple of interviews coming up. The Rooster, Pete Banazak, who I got to know well. So I've been trying to mix in some stories that I have as the host to your phone calls and your memories on these draft picks. Now, if you weren't drafted by the Raiders, like Mike Haynes or Eric Allen or Rod Woodson or Jim Plunkett, you're not included in the summer series broadcast that I'm doing. But if you were drafted by the Raiders, we're going to usually do 2 a days, and then we're going to get to training camp. I'm going to do 3 a day, and then I'm going to start getting some of the players on the air with me that I'm working on behind the scenes with the Raiders. That's going to be pretty cool. So today is Pete Banazak. We get some really good audio and sound that Danny was kind to get for us, and we'll play that throughout the show. And if you remember how important he was, if you watched him play, if you remember him, give us a call at 702-365-9200. as we open up the show and get rolling here. But I'm excited to talk baseball today. As I remind everybody, and I know at times I'm a bit gruff, we need to stick to sports. This is the MLB All-Star Game. Let's go. We're baseball fans here, right? You all played Little League? You got kids who play Little League? You got a favorite baseball team? Let's share an All-Star Game story. I'll go first. In 1999 at Sports Fan Radio Network, I was sent to the All-Star Game in Boston. And in typical fashion, I invited everybody I knew. I invited my sister, who was newly engaged. My dad came from Long Island to Boston, and I felt like a rock star. I had a credential. I had tickets from my bosses in the lower bowl. We had tickets to the Home Run Derby. Oh, nothing. It featured Ken Griffey Jr., Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa. And my dad and I sat next to a Boston Red Sox legend in the crowd named Johnny Pesky, the Pesky Pole. If you know what the foul pole is, it's named after him in Boston. And I'll never forget my dad and I, he stayed at the hotel with me, and we had just a great father-son weekend in Boston. And I did a radio remote from there at a bar, and it was really cool. And then Pedro Martinez pitched in that game and struck out the side to start the game. And it was one of the most impressive things I ever saw. Who Pedro went up against, the energy at Fenway, the crowd, and how he was able to strike out the side. It was magical. And I'll never forget also, as my dad and I went to batting practice, as Sosa and McGwire were launching balls into the Boston sky over the Green Monster. And then as I shared this story with you, because my dad's still with me at 87 years old, after the game, the All-Star Game, we left and we were walking across the street. And we got to a stoplight and we had to wait for traffic. And who was right next to me? Tim Rushert. Might remember him, the host of Meet the Press, a Washington icon. And he was there. And I said, hey, Tammy, hey, how you doing? I introduced myself and we walked across the street with him. And he talked to my dad. And it was really memorable. And we had a couple of beers after the game. And it was 1999. Now it's 2025. So the All-Star Game has been really important to me, man. I really love it. My kids love it. And I want to talk about it today. So if you got a prediction, Jeff Sherman will join us at 12:45 on how to bet the All-Star Game. You know, I struggle. I really struggle when you listen to dopes who tell you how to gamble on sports and they're not professionals. They crack a microphone and tell you how to bet. Excuse me? Why? Why am I listening to you? It's like a free-for-all now on radio. Everyone wants to give out a gambling opinion. Jeff Sherman's going to tell you how to bet the All-Star Game. And I think you should bet. And I don't bet, but I talk to gamblers. And betting the All-Star Game seems like a lot of fun than some random NBA game between Sacramento and New Orleans on a Tuesday night. Are you going to bet the total of the game? Are you going to bet certain prop bets on hits? What are you going to bet? If you got a bet for that, put it in the chat. And I'd like to hear from you on how you're going to do that. There is some NFL news today, which I can tie into the Raiders too. Also, real quick, Kevin Iole, top of the hour, the legendary boxing UFC analyst, he's retired, but he's still working. I'm confused. We're going to talk to him as Pacquiao's in town. I'm going out of town again for the weekend, and Manny Pacquiao is fighting. I've seen every single Manny Pacquiao fight, every single one that he fought in Vegas. I'm not seeing this one because I don't think it's important. It's Manny Pacquiao who retired and is fighting at the end of his career, and I don't find that really intriguing. But Manny Pacquiao has been very entertaining throughout his career. We'll tie in UFC and boxing with Kevin Iole. He's coming up here in a little bit. And I got one more guest coming in who's going to be really good a little bit later on in the show. Robert Turbin from NFL Radio. He was a running back who played for Pete Carroll in Seattle and won a Super Bowl. He's always a really fun guest. So I think that's a really good show. I hope you enjoy it. And you can line up on here with your favorite Pete Banazak story or your favorite All-Star Game memory. What's the one moment when you close your eyes at night and you're thinking of the MLB All-Star Game? What's the one memory that comes to your mind? What is it? I remember Cal Ripken when A-Rod said, no, he's a third, you go to shortstop. Remember, and Cal said no, and Joe Torre said move. I remember Reggie Jackson hitting the transformer in Detroit. Just great moments in All-Star history. Dave Parker's throw, may he rest in peace, from right field. Pete Rose running over Ray Fosse in the All-Star game. I mean, there are memories galore. You probably have a few that I forgot. Let me know about that, and we'll get going here. Now, very interesting topic for everybody who loves football in Raider Nation is the Jets are making news again today. You might have heard Rich Eisen, who just ended his show leading into this one, and he talked about Sauce Gardner, and the Jets now have the highest paid cornerback in football. The day before, they paid Garrett Wilson $90 million guaranteed to play for the Jets. I said, wait a second. The Jets stink. What are the Jets doing? The Jets stink. But what the Jets are doing is they're paying their younger talent not to leave. When you play on bad football teams, you normally want to leave and go play for a winner. Okay, Max Crosby is an exception. He's played on a couple of teams that had bad records, but Max understands the relevance of Raider Nation and the Davis family and commitment to excellence and the greatness of the Raiders in its future. And Max could have left. Max could have easily left. The Raiders offer him a contract. He goes, thank you, I don't want one. I'm going to play out my contract and play somewhere else. Something that I often encourage people to do. I mean, if you get drafted by the Cleveland Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you look at the history of the league, why would you re-sign? Well, you re-sign because those teams can give you more money because they control your rights. You can sign earlier with them and you can sign for more money, and that's what the Jets did this week. So the Jets ended up giving Garrett Wilson $90 million and Sauce Gardner a 4-year, $120 million extension earlier today. The contract includes $85.65 million guaranteed, according to Adam Schefter. The two-time All-Pro, not Pro Bowler, All-Pro, becomes the NFL's highest paid cornerback based on an average salary of $30.1 million. He surpasses Houston Texans star Derek Stingley Jr., who received 3 years, $90 million. So let's dive into this. I'm a former stockbroker. The market continues to go up. The stock market doesn't. The stock market went down violently this year to the point where I was canceling a European vacation. True story. I'm like, no, I ain't going anywhere with the way this market's looking. But how come the real estate market that is coming back? Raise your hand, beep your horn. Have you looked at your house? Maybe it's up a lot. It's coming back down a little bit. How come the real estate market goes down? Because it's a market. Markets go up and down. The movie economy. They put out this movie Superman and Snow White. It cost billions of dollars to make, combine those two movies. They crashed and burned, opened up a failure. Risk reward. Why are we increasing salaries every year in the NFL? Why does everybody who was born between 1998 and 2000 who play on crappy football teams, why do they get a raise every year? I don't get a raise every year. I go out and earn my money with my partners and advertisers. I don't show up and say, hey, you're going to get a raise, JT, because you're another year older. It's insanity in sports. Now, it's because I know the answer to this. There's more revenue coming in. The organizations are making more money. And because the players have a union in all these sports, the players have negotiated that if the owners are making more, we make more. If more money's coming in because Roger Goodell's bringing in Netflix, Amazon, and Apple, we need some of that money. Fair. So their price goes up. I'll give you Paul George and James Harden. They're not getting better. They're getting worse. They make more money. Why? Because I guess they have to get more money. So the Jets just paid two really good players ahead of time where they didn't need to play them. Do you ever hear of the franchise tag? You ever throw the tag on someone? They're paying these guys above market because they don't want to lose them. And both of these guys who seem to be good teammates and good players, they don't want to hurt their feelings. Because if they don't give them the money, they might turn out to be 49ers. And what do I mean by that? Every 49er blanks and moans about their contract. And then Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch give them more money. Am I right or wrong? You know I'm right. So the Jets are like, we love these kids. They're the cornerstone of our team. Let's just pay them. Let's just give them money. Is it a good business move or a bad one? 702-365-9200. Who is the player on the Raiders you would pay early right now? You know the answer. It's Brock Bowers. You know the answer is Brock Bowers. I don't get involved in Mark Davis's money. He's a friend. I've never once talked money with him in my life. Whatever he wants to pay, I follow the line. But come on, with Brock Bowers. If Garrett Wilson's getting this money, what do you think they're going to give Brock Bowers? They're going to wait. They're not going to wait for Brock Bowers to become a 5-year, 4-year player. Same could be said of Ashton Genty. Hasn't played a game yet, but I think that Ashton Genty has more upside than Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. And I think you and the Raider Nation won't mind if those players get paid early, if they're living up to the hype. So it's about the economics in sports. And I want everybody to make a lot of money, and I want everybody to make more. But I have to be some voice of reason with the insanity of the landscape of sports as you continue to pay more money for everything. Today, if you opened up your phone, your handheld device, if you're watching on YouTube, I saw an overwhelming amount of articles and reels come at me on this story about, again, it's another story about $24 bottled water in a casino. I said to myself, this is clickbait, but it's true. There are several casinos on the corridor that will charge you bottled water over $20. I know my audience is not stupid enough to pay for that. If I was hungover as hell and the fountain blew or wind and woke up with cotton mouth in the middle of the night, JT the Brick in the third person would put my head under the faucet and drink tap water before I paid $24 for water. But why does the market continue to go up, and up for casino bottled water? Because idiots pay for it. So why not make it $25 a bottle? And then someday no one's going to pay for that water and the market's going to come down. But it doesn't come down in sports. We're living in a time today, ladies and gentlemen, where if you're an athlete and you're good, I mean, Fred Biletnikoff was great. He wasn't good. He was great. He's in the Hall of Fame. $90 million guaranteed for Garrett Wilson. And Fred Biletnikoff still paying bills. Fred Biletnikoff still signing autographs. And he's done very well in life. And his wife has done very well. But you get my point. I'm talking about Pete Banazak today. Pete Banazak was a touchdown machine. I know he played in the 60s and 70s. I know that. But $90 million guaranteed now. You don't have to wear pads in practice. You get walkthroughs. You got a private masseuse. They cook you salmon every day for lunch. You fly on a team jet with Wi-Fi and movies. You get your laundry done for free. I mean, really? It's insane what the Jets are doing. But I get it. They want to secure their young players, and they've never won since Joe Namath. You know, they've only won one Super Bowl, so they're trying to keep their best players. That's the monologue. I think that was a damn good monologue because I was listening to Free Will by Rush coming in, and I was ready to go. That was brought to you by Grimaldi's. We got Grimaldi's gift cards, $50. We're giving them away to the best calls. You know, I was the Jim Rome Caller of the Year once. I got nothing for it other than the title King of Smack, and I ran with it. I got $50 Grimaldi gift cards if you want them, but you got to sound off like you got a pair, please. Damn good monologue, man. Should have 50,000 YouTube subscribers with that effing monologue. 50,000 people should have watched that just on YouTube and Twitter alone. I will put my first 20 minutes up with anybody. Anybody. Yes, I need to hydrate. Thank you. Raider D knows me. No notes, just my live reads. Just my live reads. No notes. Is our baby boy here today? Is our Charger fan here? Where's our Charger guy? What's his name again?
Feel the electricity this summer. Let a great deal take you further. Choose an electric Honda or a hybrid. It's time for a different kind of power.
All right.
Honda hybrid or Civic hybrid during a Honda summer event. Visit your local Las Vegas Honda dealers.
Yeah, the Powder Puff Girls are Chargers are putting out a lot of propaganda on their new Powder Puff uniforms, man.
It's not easy getting your child to school each day. Making breakfast, packing lunch, remembering homework, and getting to class on time. It's a lot, but you are setting up your child for success. Kindergarten through third grade classes are especially important.
If you got anything on Pete Banazak, put it in the chat.
Child's ability to learn. Give them the best chance of a great future because they'll be shaping ours. This message is sponsored by a partnership with Strengthen Our Community and Communities in Schools, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's Ash from Sam and Ash Injury Law. At Sam and Ash, we're setting a new standard for personal injury law. We aren't sleazy, uptight, or too busy to call you back. We provide unmatched customer service, delivering real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam and Ash, 702-303-0333, or visit samandashlaw.com. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
Hey, Gators fans, we're factually low.
Do you have a what those touchdowns were?
Yeah, so two of them were in the Super Bowl,
Right.
and the third is the Thanksgiving touchdown that goes with the Thanksgiving sound. Because it's Banazak talking about his conversation with the coach, and then he went out and scored the touchdown in the game.
On Thanksgiving.
Yeah, against the Chiefs.
Okay, let's leave. I'll throw to that first.
Go to the sound.
Yeah, it's the sound includes the touchdown.
No, so I have two bites. So I have just him talking about the coach, the conversation, and then I broke away the touchdown.
All right, so I'll do to him talking, and then I'll throw to the touchdown. Okay.
Always play it safe. Call 1-800-RANGER, clickRanger.com, or just stop by. Ranger, for the ones who get it done. Are you looking for the best fit high school for your child? Cristo Rey St. Viator College Preparatory High School is accepting applications for the 2025-2026 school year. We offer high-quality college preparatory coursework, one-on-one academic counseling, college counseling, mental health counseling, and even an alumni advisory. Students work once a week at one of our partner companies to help pay for their.
How's everyone doing today on the stream? Everything good?
$50 a month.
Good, man.
More and apply today. CristoRaySt.Viator.org.
Gambler's bonus hits again. On March 1st, Keith hit 4 5s, clearing his Gambler's bonus four-of-kind
All right, here we go.
for over $10,000. Keith hit big and so can you with Gambler's bonus. It's why you play the game.
Over the next few weeks of summer, JT will look back at the most influential Raiders draft picks in the history of this storied franchise.
With the 13th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select
the players only drafted by the Raiders who played in the most important games and also had lasting impacts on the NFL.
All right.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the De Casta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
All right, JT, back with you as we continue on Raider Nation Radio. And our summer series, we are looking back at the greatest Raider and most influential draft picks in Raider history. And this is one of the guys I got to know. I consider him a friend, and he was a legendary Raider. Pete Banaszak, born May 21st, 1944, running back for the Oakland Raiders in the AFL and the NFL. He played college football for the Miami Hurricanes. He played for the Raiders in the AFL from 66 through 69, and then from the NFL from 70 through 78. Wow. Just let that sink in. How many years he played for the Raiders. From 66 through 78, He was drafted in the 1966 AFL draft in the 5th round, the 59th pick. Right there, influential and impactful. So when we decided to do this project here, we wanted to find players who exceeded their draft capability. Pete Banazak is near the top of that list because he was an AFL champion, he was a Super Bowl champion, and he led the NFL in touchdowns in 1975. He was an absolute beast. And what I loved about Pete, and growing up as a young boy, I remember Pete Banazak because I remember the name. Who had a cooler name than that? Banazak. It sounded like a combination of a fighter and a private detective. Here comes Banazak. And he was a goal line back, but a guy who could get you a first down at midfield, or if you were backed up against the end zone, get you a couple of yards to get you some breathing room. He started off in Wisconsin, where he was born. He considered being a priest as a young boy. He finished his 3-year career with the Hurricanes with 9 touchdowns and 35 catches and was a really good player. That's why he dropped to the 5th round. He finished his NFL career all with the Raiders with 3,772 rushing yards, 121 receptions, but get this, 51 touchdowns. He was known for having a nose for the goal line. His nickname was the Rooster. Banaszak was a member of the Raiders during their first Super Bowl appearance in Super Bowl II. Like Fred Biletnikoff, let this thing sink in, everyone. He played and lost in Super Bowl II and scored and won in Super Bowl 11. And then all the games in between were some of the greatest Raider games of all time. 2 touchdowns in the Raiders' 32-14 win over the Vikings in Super Bowl 11. He also played a part in the Holy Roller game that led to rule changes in the NFL about advancing fumbles. He appeared to try to recover the ball on the 12-yard line, but he could not keep his footing, pitched the ball with both hands even closer to the end zone. Pete was residing in St. Augustine, Florida, and he was the co-host of the post-game show for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let me pick it up from here. I'll get to that story in a second. Here's a conversation Pete Banaszak had when he was playing in the NFL about the Thanksgiving game he competed against the Chiefs.
It was the second year that I played, and we were going to play Kansas City on Thanksgiving Day, and all our running backs were hurt, and I was the only guy left. Monday, when I went to the Raider locker room and started practicing for the game on Thursday, John said to me, he said, "Banaszak, are you ready? Can you play this week? You've got to play." And I said, "Well, I he said, "Banaszak, tell me if you can't play right. Tell me right now, because I'll make a trade and I'll get somebody in here that play." And he threw his hat down like this, and he stomped on it, and he said, "You're in the pros now." Well, guess what? After that moment, I was ready. And the good Lord was with me, because we beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day in Kansas City. And I ran for about 80, 90 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. Game over.
Yeah, it came over there, and Pete Banaszak was a guy who knew how to find the end zone. Here's a touchdown in that Kansas City Thanksgiving game.
Hand off to Banaszak. He powers over. Touchdown Raiders.
Yeah, Bill King on the call there. So Pete Banaszak was a guy that was just a tough guy. And I knew I was going to do this today, so I called Fred Biletnikoff. I try to talk to Freddie almost every day, and I said, "I'm going on the air. Today's Pete Banaszak. Tell me about him." And Freddie just talked about how consistent he was, and he just brought it every day. And I said, "Well, clarify that. Tell me more." He said, "Didn't matter. It was a practice of the game. Same guy. Lunch bucket type guy, came to work, tough, played through pain, played banged up, the ultimate teammate." You got to remember those Raider teams back then in the 60s and 70s. And if you look at Clarence Davis and you look at all the running backs that they had in the depthness later on of Mark Van Egan, and we already covered Marv Hubbard in this preview summer series that we're doing, there were a lot of running backs and at the time fullbacks and halfbacks on the roster. And Madden used all of them. He used them all. And later on with Flores, you had Marcus Allen, you had Bo Jackson. Marcus went to a blocking back for Bo. The history of the Raiders is in the running game with some of the greatest, most iconic quarterbacks and wide receivers and tight ends ever to play. Dave Casper, Raymond Chester, Todd Christensen. The list goes on and on. But the running backs were the men who got the tough yards. They could have been running behind Gene Upshaw and Art Shell, or Henry Lawrence and John Vella, or Dave Dalby, or Jim Otto. These men were tough, and Banazak led the charge. To be a rushing champion, to be a touchdown champion, to be considered one of the greatest touchdown makers in Raider history is a high honor. So Pete lived in St. Augustine, and that's where my in-laws live, and that's where I vacation every year with my wife and kids. And getting to know him with the Raiders, when I went out there, I had his phone number, and I reached out to him. He said, come out to the house and play golf. I said, yeah, I'd like to. So I drove out to the house, played golf at his club, King and Bear. We played 18 holes together, went back. His wife was there. I called my wife and my sons, who at the time were like 6 years old and 4 years old. And he said, let's go up to Caddy Shack for lunch, Bill Murray's Caddy Shack in St. Augustine. We all sat around and got some burgers and some fries. And Pete was telling stories, and he took pictures with my kids that I still have in my office today. And then every year when Pete comes back for alumni weekend, and he used to come back to Napa for the big events in Napa that Mark Davis would throw, I'd spend some quality time with him. He's still with us today. I hope he continues to travel back there. He's getting up there in age. But man, I love Pete Banaszak. He's one of my favorite Raiders of all time. Probably because I got to know him. We became friends. And I just love everything about his era of football. My favorite era of Raider football, the 70s. And the fact that he was an influential running back. That's what we're doing all summer. I hope you participate with that. Pete Banaszak, if you'd like to call in on any memory you have with him, 702-365-9200. And, you know, when you think of what he did, he played a big role when Clem broke his leg, helped the Raiders win the AFL title game, 116 yards in the 40-7 AFL championship win in 1967 over Houston, and playing in Green Bay, playing against Green Bay in Super Bowl II. Think of that game. 116 yards in a championship game. The 11 Angry Men. You talk about the defense that played in 1967. Pete Banaszak played a major role with the Silver and Black. So I like talking about that. And then when it comes back to the draft pick is interesting where he was drafted, because that's why we put some extra value on this. 5th round, 59th pick overall, and he clearly checked every box. So for all you Las Vegas Raider fans, whenever you hear the name Pete Banaszak, just remember the rest of your life that this guy in his career in the regular season, and look, it's over 50 touchdowns total on the ground. Receiving, he had 5. So he had 47 on the ground, 5 in the air. And some of his best years, TD-wise, 1975, Oakland Raiders, he had 16 touchdowns, tied for the lead in the NFL. Pretty cool. So that's what we're doing today, and hopefully you'll jump in and help me with Pete Banaszak, 702-365-9200. That is brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, my go-to. I wish Pete was here. I'd have a Tito's with him. They make the good stuff for the good times. Make Tito's your go-to vodka, find cocktail recipes, videos, and more. Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. Jeff Sherman over at the Westgate on how to bet the All-Star game tonight. Good stuff. Good stuff. I always all right, you know, when you talk for 45 fucking minutes and you throw out Pete Banaszak and no one calls in, I gotta go back to work again. So trying to do this thing right, man. Just these Raider fans, man. I don't know where the hell you're at. I just mentioned a legend, so we'll keep going. Did my fucking job today, that's for sure. Casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly. Gaming is the official exclusive. All right. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly. If you're injured in an accident, here are the things that you hired to represent players. Where they live. They seem like it doesn't matter. It matters. The Richard Harris Law Firm employs over 150 local people.
Hello?
We live right here. We know to that. We know for it. The 70s Raiders, Michael Daniels. Very cool. Yes, the 70s Raiders.
The key to everything starts with a home.
Where families grow, where kids thrive, and where communities are built.
Everyone deserves a safe, affordable place to call home.
At Nevada Hand, we're building more than a home. We're building hope, stability, and stronger communities.
Every day, families make impossible choices between rent, groceries, and
Right. Comments are good.
That
Work with us. Volunteer, donate, or spread the word.
NevadaHand.org today.
Hi, sports fans. It's Kurt. We're here to talk about games, sports, business.
What are you rooting for in the All-Star game tonight? I'm a big American League guy. Being a Yankee fan, I want to see Judge hit a home run.
We have one good explore there. We'll go see whether the #1 porn dealership in the state is in Ford Country at the Valley Auto Mall. Online at FordCountryHenderson.com. Ford Country, the difference is real.
Hey Chuck, how much can I get at Dollar Loan Center? You can get a signature loan up to $5,000. Here's the cool part. You can come in anytime and see how much you qualify for. It's 100% free to find out. You don't even need to take the loan out if you don't for future needs.
National League all day, huh? Would like to see Kyle Tucker hit a big home run. All right.
You can just take that loan. You don't need to take out your full credit limit if you don't want to. Thanks, Chuck. Dollar Loan Center has over 60 locations, or you can go to dollarloan.com.
You can come out a break with one of those touchdowns, Super Bowl touchdowns,
Yes.
and then just call Jeff Sherman after that.
Okay.
Obviously, the famous New York style cold big on the pizza. Grimaldi's has 4 locations in the Vegas Valley, or check them out online at Grimaldi'sPizzeria.com.
Flood season, smudge season. It's just a little rain and you're in a car. Drive through the puddle. It's like a free car wash. You've got places to go. Come on, got it.
Yeah, that's not the way to do it. You simply can't tell how deep flood water is in the road. And it only takes 1 foot of rushing water to pick up your car. Drowning in your car is a tragedy you can avoid. Never drive through flood water, because water.
All right, back after the Modelo commercial.
Modelo is an official
Okay.
of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especials.
It's going to be the first of 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
Super Bowl.
Thank you.
Refreshing taste. Brewed with fighting spirit since 1925.
Banazak powers over. Touchdown Raiders. Banazak going in from a foot out. The all-time Raider rushing touchdown later.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Modelo. That's a Banazak touchdown in the Super Bowl. How cool is it to be a kid from Wisconsin, go play for the Miami Hurricanes and score a touchdown, 2 of them in Pasadena? That was the Super Bowl where Fred Biletnikoff was the MVP. Banazak broke into the end zone for 2 touchdowns. Pretty great memory. That's why Fred Biletnikoff and Pete Banazak are 2 of the greatest friends in Raider history. JT, back with you as we continue on. Brought to you by our great friends at Modelo. It's the #1 beer in America. The fighting spirit of Modelo. I have a couple of Modelos. I like a bucket of Modelos on Friday. Dripping wet in the pool. Over 100 degrees lined up here in Vegas, that's for sure. The Westgate is the home of Jeff Sherman. He is the VP of Risk Management. And It's interesting. It's kind of a lull right now when it comes to not a lot of sporting games going on, but we have the Open Championship, which Jeff is really strong at, along with everything, and the All-Star game tonight. Jeff, thanks for joining us. Typically, how's this night go over at the Westgate and fans, the typical baseball fan who's pretty sharp from what I hear, baseball bettors, when they try to attack the All-Star game?
Yeah, we have the same type of options you'd see on a regular season game, where you can bet the winner of the game, the total, the run line, the alternate run line, run in the first inning, things like that. And it's difficult to do props for this game because you don't know how long the players are going to play. But we figure Skeens and Scooble will each start the game, pitch the first inning. So we threw up some props on those two for 1.5 strikeouts on each one, with the under a heavy favorite, but added a couple things like that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's interesting when you mentioned the pitchers, and I'm happy you did. It's the starters in the All-Star game are always either legends or guys who are having such a great start that they're running away with the Cy Young vote. These are two good pitchers tonight, and they normally have an advantage over the hitters, even though these are powerful lineups here, and that has a big effect on the props, I would assume.
It does, and you see that for the run and scored in the first inning prop, and traditionally you'd see on this side in total $1.40 on the no for that, but we're dealing at $1.65 because you have such solid pitchers starting the game, even though they're going up against the best batters.
So tell us the lines here. It looks like the National League is a favorite, and what is the total on the game tonight?
Yeah, we opened it a pick'em game, minus 105 each side, and it's been bet up pretty heavily to the NL, $1.22, and the AL plus 112. And the total is 7 over 1 minus 120 with the under even. But a lot of National League support so far.
When you look at this game, when it comes to home run props and what went on last night with the Derby, if you could get us up to speed with Cal Raleigh winning, he barely got out of the first round. He ends up winning it. Was there action on home run Derby? What's that typically like?
Yeah, he was a 3-1 favorite. Saw a lot of support. So, but there wasn't too much to wager on yesterday. So that was the event. We saw a lot of support in it.
All right, so we got Summer League here in town. How has that gone so far? I know the limits on some of the bets there. Cooper Flag coming out initially, shut down after 2 games. Bronny James playing well. What's the takeaway over at the Westgate on what you've seen with action at the Summer League?
It's actually been pretty brisk. It's a perfect week to be holding it, where MLB is off for the 4 days besides the All-Star game. So we've been seeing a lot of support, people putting it in parlays, and with the All-Star game tonight, you see a lot of Summer League parlays with that. So a lot of interest, and with it being locally and televised every game, it's doing well. We're getting a lot of handle.
Jeff Sherman joins us, VP of Risk Management over at the Westgate. So NBA win totals you have up there. What jumps out with you? I'll start with Oklahoma City.
Yeah, the highest one in a few years at 62.5.
Ooh.
So, tough number there. An injury could derail that, but it's warranted for what they've done recently. So we started there, wide separation, because the next best team is 56.5 with Cleveland. And that goes all the way down, the lowest team being Utah, 18.5, the only one that's under 20. But a wide range, and there's a lot of teams in the middle there.
Interesting with the Celtics. I like your opinion on that with the injury to Tatum. Same thing with Indiana and Halliburton, as you handicap that number with 2 of the elite players in the league being out.
Yeah, we have the Celtics at 43.5, and that was a tough one to make. They lost a couple other players with Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis in addition, so a big step back for them. And we have the Pacers at 38.5, and they would have easily been in the mid-40s if Halliburton been healthy, and Miles Turner, he left for Milwaukee too. So a couple of dings against the Pacers. Now they're upper 30s.
Let's move to the Open Championship. At Golf Odds is where you follow Jeff Sherman. If you're sharp and you love golf, he's the guy to follow locally, nationally, internationally. I was up early watching Golf Channel's coverage, and it was drizzling and it was wet and just a tough place for the fans to go see golf, but very unique track there where Rory shot 61 as an amateur. Scotty Scheffler came in and did this deep dive. I'm sure you saw it about how he gets up for these events and the letdown after he wins. Interesting. It seems like there are 4 to 5 guys with short odds. How do you see it?
Yeah, they haven't played this course since 2019, and that was the first time in 50 years, so not too much to go on there, but McIlroy missed the cutback then when he had high expectations. This year going in, Scheffler the 6-1 favorite, followed by Rory at 15-2, John Rahm 11-1, then everyone else is 20-1 or higher. So when they call it the Open Championship, it really does look open because you can go really deep down the list and find guys that can contend here. Tough conditions. We're expecting rain all week. Moderate wind, but not too much in the gust range. But it will be tough conditions that will challenge these golfers.
When you handicap the European golfers versus the American golfers, the international golfers, just the European ones who play over there in Scotland and Ireland have a little bit of an advantage and maybe a shorter number, even though it's a big number overall because they played there before. How does that work out with the Americans who don't play there much?
Yeah, they do. The European golfers do have shorter numbers because they are used to that environment. They play it all the time. And the ones that have been playing well, Marco Penge last week in the Scottish Open, he's down to 100-1. When you see golfers like that come to the PGA Tour, they really struggle on the PGA Tour with the type of golf courses and the depth of the field there. But in this type of tournament, they're definitely in play, and we see a lot of support for them this week.
I like Xander Schauffele. I liked him in the past here overall. I think he can ride his ball. He can bring it up to the greens. He can play good link-style golf there. What's his number overall? Do you like him coming into the tournament?
Yeah, he's 20-1. You know, he hasn't threatened to win this season since he had his hand injury early in the season. But the tough thing for me is to go back-to-back. He won the Open Championship last year. So I usually don't look for guys to go 2 years in a row. It's a tough ask for him. But he is getting support. He was at 25, now at 20.
Sounds good. I'm sure there's viewing parties there. You've taken care of me in the past when it's the U.S. Open or the Masters. What do you have at the Westgate for those who want to get there early? Or, wow, I even forgot to ask the times overall there what they're playing. What's the best time to get over there and watch some golf?
Yeah, it starts at 10:35 p.m. on Wednesday night.
Ooh.
So it'll go all through the night. So we'll have it out there, even though the book will be closed. We'll have it on the TVs. We'll have in-play outright action on the final round on Sunday morning.
And how's the Super Contest? Please tell everyone, our rabid football audience here, how to get involved in the Super Contest.
Yeah, we have 4 contests this year. The Classic Super Contest, $1,500 entry fee where you pick 5 games against the spread. We have 46 entrants so far on that. We have the $5,000 Super Contest Gold, the Survivor, a $5,000 Survivor, and we have new this season, $500 College, where you pick 7 games against the spread. And we have 57 entrants in that, and we're expecting more entries in the College than any other contest we're offering, being a unique one in town.
Absolutely. Great talking to Jeff. Talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thanks, JT.
Jeff Sherman gives us the deep dive as a VP of Risk Management over at the Westgate, the sharpest book in the world. There's a lot of books out there trying to get you to sign up for their contest, this and that. The Westgate is the premier, okay, because they have the sharpest lines out there. You know what I'm saying. If you live in Vegas, head on out to the Westgate. Thanks to Jeff Sherman for joining us. So that hour flew by. If you're into boxing and UFC, Kevin Iole is one of the best. It's going to be a very interesting conversation because Kevin's retiring. And I've been interviewing Kevin for over 20 years. So I'm excited to talk to him about what's happening. Pacquiao's fighting this weekend, the pound-for-pound list, what he thinks about that. And then Robert Turbin, the great former Pete Carroll player for Seattle, the running back, will join us a little bit later on in the show. If you're watching the MLB All-Star Game tonight, I don't know what you're going to do on these prop bets, but it seems like everybody's betting props. And if you feel like that's the way to go in there to the All-Star break, good luck. Danny, I don't know, you know a little bit about, or more than I do, about sports gaming. Knowing the limited amount of at-bats and innings that pitchers are going to pitch, I would assume it's kind of interesting to bet prop picks, not knowing if guys aren't playing 9 innings, they're not pitching 7 innings.
Yeah, this would definitely be one that I personally
If you want to call in today as a Raider fan, we're taking calls on Pete Banazak, nicknamed the Rooster. He's our featured Raider all-time great draft pick, influential pick. We got some sound bites, some highlights for him, second hour of the show. 702-365-9200. Big announcement. Tomorrow is my tribute to Steve Martauer, Raider Mort. We're going to do 2 hours, and we're just going to talk about Mort. And Mort called me for hundreds of hours, maybe as a personal friend, thousands of hours. But on the radio, Mort called me hundreds of times with sports calls. I was just shut out in the first hour of the show. If Mort was alive, I would have got a Pete Banazak call, I promise you. But we'll pay tribute to Mort tomorrow, and I hope everybody's here for that. It'll live in eternity on YouTube on our channel, too. Hour number 1 down. One more to go, brought to you by The Black Hole. Go to thebblackhole.com. They got a lot of breaking news announcements here. I downloaded the app to listen to the show and do a lot of other things. All right, I'm going to bail. We're good here. If you want to listen, you can listen on the app. I'm going to bail out of here right now. Hope everybody enjoyed today. I might do, I think I'm going to do a live stream tonight for the first 20 minutes during the All-Star game tonight. So if you want to find me tonight, I'll live stream for about a half hour tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific time if you can join me then.